Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shaimakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sri Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Yuga Dharma Hari Nam Sankirtan Yogya Ki Jai Priyat Madanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Transcendental Krishna Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai Go Premanandi Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaladari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaladari Yashodanandana Brajajanadandjana Yashodanandana Brajajanadandjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Agopi Janavala Bagiri Vadadari Hey Gopi Janavala Bagiri Vadadari Hey Ashodanandana Braja Janadanjana Hoy Ashodanandana Braja Janadanjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Agopi Janavala Bagiri Vadadari Hey Gopi Janavala Bagiri Vadadari Yashodanandana Braja Janadanjana Oh Yashodanandana Braja Janadanjana Oh Yashodanandana Braja Janadanjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Kalachanji Radha Kalachanji Radhe Jai Radha Kala Chanji Radha Kala Chanji Radhe. Jai Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Jai Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So if you'd like to look up on your phones, I want to read from Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 31. Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 31. Since Monday is speaker's choice, I picked a verse from where I'm reading in the Bhagavatam. I got to get it myself. Brahmavacha Naitat Swarupam Bhavato Sapadartha Veda Grahaya Purusho Yavadikshet Yanasya Chartasya Gunasya Chashrayo Mayam Mayad Vyatirikto Matastvam Brahmovacha Naitat Swarupam Bhavato Sapadartaha Veda Grahaya Purusho Yavadikshet Yanasya Chartasya Gunasya Chashrayo Maya Mayad Vyatirikto Matastvam. Please chant. Ganasya chartasya gunasya chashrayo Maya mayadvyatirito matastvam. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 31. And we can do the synonyms together. Brahmavacha, Lord Brahma said, not, etat, this, swarupam, eternal form, bhavataha, your, asau, that other, pada artha, knowledge, beda, different, grahayai, by the acquiring, purushaha, person, yavat, as long as, ikshet, wants to see, Gyanasya, of knowledge, cha, also, artasya, of the objective, gunasya, of the instruments of knowledge, cha, also, ashraya, the basis, maya mayat, from being made of material energy, vyatiriktaha, distinct, mataha, regarded, tvam, you. The translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Lord Brahma said, My dear Lord, your personality and eternal form cannot be understood by any person who is trying to know you through the different processes of acquiring knowledge. Your position is always transcendental to the material creation, whereas the empiric attempt to understand you is material, as are its objectives and instruments. Purport. It is said that the transcendental name, qualities, activities, paraphernalia, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be understood with our material senses. The attempt of the empiric philosophers to understand the absolute truth by speculation is always futile, because their process of understanding, their objective, and the instruments by which they try to understand the absolute truth are all material. The Lord is aprakrita, beyond the creation of the material world. This fact is also accepted by the great impersonalist Shankaracharya, Narayano pado vyaktat andam avyakta sambhavam. Avyakta, or the original material cause, is beyond this material manifestation and is the cause of the material world. Because Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond the material world, one cannot speculate upon him by any material method. One has to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by the transcendental method of Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18:55. Bhaktyamam abhijananti. Only by devotional service can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord. The difference between the impersonalists and the personalists is that the impersonalists, limited by their speculative processes, cannot even approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the devotees please the Supreme Personality of Godhead through His transcendental loving service, sevanmukhehi. Due to the service attitude of the devotee, the Lord is revealed to him. So I'll just repeat that because that's the main point here. Due to the service attitude of the devotee, the Lord is revealed to him. The Supreme Lord cannot be understood by materialistic persons, even though He is present before them. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna therefore condemns such materialists as mudhas. Mudha means rascal. It is said in the Gita, only rascals think of Lord Krishna as an ordinary person. They do not know what Lord Krishna's position is, or what his transcendental potencies are, end of quote. Unaware of his transcendental potencies, the impersonalists deride the person of Lord Krishna, whereas the devotees, by dint of their service attitude, can understand him as the personality of Godhead. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna also confirmed that it is very difficult to understand the personality of the Lord. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Brahma said, My dear Lord, your personality and eternal form cannot be understood by any person who is trying to know you through the different processes of acquiring knowledge. Your position is always transcendental to the material creation, whereas the empiric attempt to understand you is material, as are its objectives and instruments. So in this section of the Bhagavatam that I chose is where I'm reading from. It's the pastime of Daksha becoming envious and upset with Shiva, who's his son-in-law. And as we know how the story goes, you may remember how Daksha entered the place where Shiva and all the demigods were, and Shiva didn't stand up, and Daksha felt insulted that why is he not respecting my position because I'm his father-in-law, which is a superior material situation. But as we see in later verses, Shiva tells his wife Sati that actually, because I'm constantly absorbed in meditating on Krishna's lotus feet and remembering Krishna, then I was already offering obeisances to Krishna within the heart. And Prabhupada says that actually when you do show respect to another person or do dandavats or pranams, that you're actually respecting the form of the Lord within the heart. And since Shiva was already fully absorbed in meditating on Krishna's lotus feet and fully Krishna conscious and a pure devotee, he was already offering obeisances to Krishna within the heart of Daksha and to Daksha as a spiritual or as a spirit soul. And as the pastime continues, Daksha decided, well, let me perform a sacrifice and I won't invite Shiva, which is an offense, because whenever there's a sacrifice done, all the demigods should be invited, and specifically Vishnu is worshipped, but all the demigods should be invited and honored, and they're given their due portion of the sacrificial results. So Sati, Shiva's wife, understanding the situation, she asked her husband, Lord Shiva, I want to go to this sacrificial performance observed by my father. And Shiva was saying it won't be a good idea because he's inimical to me and he won't show you any, he won't give you any attention and you'll be offended and it'll be a devastating result. He even said that you will commit sati, you know. That's what her name, I guess she started this. And later in the verses, it's explained that she didn't go because she just wanted to. Like sometimes in the purports, Prabhupada said, ladies like to go to social gatherings, especially when there's family members and whatnot. But actually, in the further verses, Prabhupada clarifies that she didn't go just because she wanted to associate with family members in a social atmosphere. She actually went to glorify her husband, and she went with the intention of trying to help her father change his misconception of Shiva. And she went to say that great personalities, they look at another person and they may see the good and the bad, but they take one tiny quality and they magnify it. Even if it's a bad quality, they magnify it and see the potential in that person and see the good. And Prabhupada puts in one sentence that the quality of a great person is that they see the good in others and they magnify it. Or even they see the bad in others, but they magnify it and make it good. Whereas Sati was telling Daksha, you see Shiva's good qualities as bad. You see the opposite. Whereas Shiva, he doesn't see any bad qualities in anybody. He sees everybody's potential as spiritual beings and he sees the good. So she was saying, trying to change his consciousness, but he didn't pay attention. And what did she do? Because she realized he was being offensive to one of the greatest Vaishnavas, and because her body came from his, she sat in meditation, meditated on the fire element within her body, and self-combusted, right? Her body went up into flames, and she left that body because it was connected with Daksha, who was being offensive to the greatest Vaishnava, Vaishnavanam, Yata Shambhu, Lord Shiva. So Shiva, finding out about this, who do you think told Shiva about this pastime, about what transpired? Narada Muni. And it says in the purport that Narada Muni is the one who always brings the news of all these activities to everybody. Just like we know the different pastimes, he's the one that went to Kamsa and said, actually, Krishna's already born, you should try to hurry up. He tried to accelerate the killing of Kamsa. So he's always the one in these pastimes giving these news to accelerate the Leelas. So Shiva, becoming angry, pulled out a hair from his head. The hair immediately was electrified and looked like lightning. And in anger, he threw it to the ground, and this huge demon, who remembers the name of the demon? Virabhadra. He appeared and immediately prostrated himself and asked Lord Shiva, what is my service? And Lord Shiva told him to go kill Daksha. And he circumambulated Lord Shiva, and along with the associates of Shiva, his associates are ghosts and hobgoblins. You know what a hobgoblin is? I don't know exactly, but it's a funny word, right? It's some kind of a ghostly character. So they all went with Virabhadra to the sacrificial arena, and Virabhadra was trying to behead Daksha, but he couldn't. He was trying in different ways, and he was even trying hymns, it said. I was thinking, when you hear of hymns, like, we come from Judeo-Christian background, those are like songs. So he was like, okay, the weapons weren't working, let me try to sing a song over here and see if that'll work. So he was trying different mantras, basically. And then that wasn't working also, so he took one of the instruments used for the fire sacrifice and beheaded Daksha and threw his head into the southeastern part of the sacrificial fire. Right? That's what I remember reading. And then the hobgoblins and ghosts, they also did different atrocities and ruined the atmosphere of the sacrifice. And then Lord Brahma, hearing about this, went to Lord Shiva and appeased him, saying that, they all made prayers to Lord Shiva, saying, please rectify the situation and don't become angry. I forgot exactly the way he approached him. But Shiva said, okay, because Daksha did this, he basically asked him, bring him back to life, please. He was trying to do a sacrifice for Vishnu, although he had the ill consciousness, the bad intentions of, disrespecting you. Please help rectify the situation. He said, okay, so there was a goat there that was going to be used for a sacrifice. They used animals to test the power of mantras in those days. And they would sacrifice an animal, but it would become rejuvenated into a younger, more vital, more vibrant life form. And that was a test if they had mantra shakti, if their mantras were potent. So there was a goat there, and Shiva beheaded the goat and gave Daksha the head of a goat. And there was another person that one of the hobgoblins poked his eyes out. And Shiva said, well, Brahma asked him to revitalize them, but instead of giving back his eyes, he said he can see through his associate, Mitra, I think is. And then there was another person that he busted his teeth. One of the people busted his teeth out because he was laughing at Shiva, showing his teeth and laughing. So Shiva said, well, he didn't say it like I'm saying. He said he didn't restore his teeth, but he said he can eat through his disciples. And if his disciples aren't there, then he can eat wheat soaked in water. So it's soft and, easily swallowable. Do you remember his name? The person whose teeth got knocked out? Huh? Pusha. And the person whose eyes got poked out? Huh? Bhaga. Great memory. So, so here then further on now, then Daksha is asked to continue the fire sacrifice, which he does. And as soon as he starts, once they clean up the area, actually the hobgoblins and ghosts, they passed stool and urine in different places and broke things. And they cleaned up the sacrificial arena, brought everybody back to life. And Daksha started the sacrifice again, started to make mantras into the yajna, and who appeared? How many arms? Yeah. And then Vishnu appeared with 8 arms holding different symbols, weapons, riding on back of Garuda. And then all the different personalities start offering prayers to Vishnu. And Daksha's wife, Shiva, Indra, everybody, and it's a beautiful section in the Bhagavatam, a beautiful section of prayers. And here is one of the prayers where Lord Brahma, seeing the Lord, offers prayers. And we see, Prabhupada elaborates, that we can't see the Lord or know of the Lord with material senses or material abilities, because the Lord is, remember the word used in the purport? The Sanskrit word? Avyakta, right? The Lord is beyond the material creation. So how is it that we're seeing the Lord? We see the deity. We hear the holy names. We take prasadam. All these things are said to be non-different from Krishna. If Krishna is beyond, even one of the prayers, I forgot who was praying, but they say that since you are beyond, they're looking at Vishnu, these personalities in the yajna, they're looking at Vishnu, they're saying, since you're beyond the material creation, my Lord, and we're seeing you, that must mean that you're in the material world. They came to that conclusion. But actually, the reality is that Krishna reveals himself according to his sweet will, right? It's just like somebody who's very influential in this material world. We may want to approach them, right? Let's say, Jaishnav, do you have anybody that you idolize in the material world? Anybody that you would like to take darshan of? I mean, that you would like to meet in the material world, a famous person? It could be a sadhu also. It doesn't have to be like a famous singer or a sports person. A lot of people in the material world, they would like to meet, let's say like my son. My son would probably like to meet Messi. He's very famous soccer player. But how would he go about it? Could he just try to get his phone number and call him? No, he couldn't. But if he did something to, let's say for some circumstance of fate that he met Messi's children, and the children, he did something nice for a family member of Messi, then Messi would be disposed, oh, let me give him my association. It's the same way with with Krishna, that it's Prabhupada saying in the purport that only by the transcendental system, only by engaging in devotional service, does Krishna decide to reveal himself to the devotee. Right? So one of the main aspects of devotional service is to please the spiritual master, or please those that are dear to Krishna, right? Just like we sing in the morning prayers, Yasha Prashadad Bhagava Prashado Yasha Prasadan Nadagi Kutopi. So that when one gets the mercy of the spiritual master, then one can get the mercy of Krishna. Or if one pleases the spiritual master by devotional service, then one can get the association of Krishna. That Krishna is conquered by the love of his devotee. That's why he may give liberation more easily, right? He may give knowledge. You may have intricate knowledge, even of the Vedas. But if you don't have bhakti, then Krishna is far, far away. So this is the secret that Krishna reveals through his devotees. Just like in the Damodar Astakam, that I am conquered and overwhelmed by my pure devotees. And that whole pastime is that Mother Yashoda, she binds Krishna. In one sense, it's by ropes, but in the other reality, as we know, that it's by the love, that Krishna is conquered by the love of his devotees, that devotional service is more powerful than Krishna. Krishna is omnipotent, means unlimitedly powerful, but devotional service is more powerful. Why? Because it's operated by who? Srimati Radharani, who's the love personified. Just like the devotees, they say that all love emanates from the relationship between Radha and Krishna, and that the whole process of devotional service is to try to assist the devotees that are assisting devotees that are assisting devotees that are serving the divine couple Radha Kalachandji, right? So this is the secret, the open secret that Krishna reveals, that I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that as those approach me, I reward them accordingly. That everyone follows my path in all respects. So according to the degree that we are wanting to be in connection with Krishna, then Krishna gives himself to us in reciprocation through devotional service. Just like everything with the Lord is absolute, right? Devotional service itself is Krishna. So that if we have devotional service, if we're given the opportunity to chant, if we're given the opportunity to hear about the Lord's pastimes, if we're even given the opportunity to take prasadam, that means that's also service. That means we're getting the direct, personal, loving reciprocation from Krishna, and we're getting Krishna's direct association. And to the degree that we want to see Krishna personally in our lives, to that degree he reciprocates. He's very, like the word rasaraj, rasa bihari, that he's very, that his existence is to reciprocate love. Sometimes they say God is love, right? So with that, what does that mean? In Vaishnavism, that means devotional, that we engage all of our thoughts, all of our words, all of our activities to personally please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and personally please the Supreme Personality of Godhead servants. It becomes more and more personal, just like the demigods. Every aspect of material energy is personified by a demigod, right? The sun is Surya, the moon is Chandra, the wind is Vayu, water, Varuna. It's even said that our eyes, our blinking of our eyes is controlled by a certain demigod. So that it gets more and more personal, right? Just like I was reading one pamphlet on the Vaishnava etiquette by Bhakti True Maharaj. And it said that a Vaishnava, before they put their feet on the earth, they ask for forgiveness to Bhumi. Bhumi is personified. It's actually, Bhumi is the consort of Varahadev, right? So before we put our feet on the earth, we please forgive me, Mother Bhumi, for making that offense. So everything gets more and more refined in personal loving service to the Lord. So this is revealed in this purport. Lord Brahma is praying that you cannot be understood by empiric knowledge. Empiric knowledge means just trying to figure out the potency or the personality of God through our mental abilities. But in the purport, Prabhupada quotes that Krishna is telling us in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya mama vijananti avanyaschasmi tatvataha tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. I think I mixed two verses, right? The translation is that one can know me as I am, Krishna is saying, only by pure devotional service. And when one is fully absorbed in such service, then I reveal myself, and one can enter into the kingdom of God. So this is the need of the soul, just like Ratadvajra Maharaj was giving the class last night, and he was giving a personal example that was very touching. He said that he was at the Sports Authority and he was looking for a sweatshirt, and the aisles were very thin, and in a distance he heard a mother and a daughter, and the daughter said, "Mom, Mommy," and he felt his heart crack. This was really, I felt very sweet how a sannyasi was expressing his experience on an emotional level. And he said that he didn't fall over, but basically he told how he went and he had to sit down and just started to pray to Prabhupada that there's a need, an emotional need within my heart to express this kind of emotion. Please engage me in your devotional service so that it is fulfilled or nourished and not in a deviated way. And he said he prayed and he prayed and he prayed, and people from the store came over and said the store is closing. You know, so that means it was a very deep thing. And then he made a parallel that just like there's a need, there's needs in the heart. There's also the soul needs to be connected with Krishna. The soul is hungry, so to speak, or there's a hole in the heart that needs to be fulfilled by devotional service. So this is the only, just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur once said, that there's the only thing lacking in this material world is Krishna consciousness, right? So in our individual lives, in our communities, the only thing lacking is Krishna consciousness. Even if we're even if we're doing the devotional activities, there's always scope for more and more qualitative surrender, right? When we're chanting, what is the difference between our chanting and the chanting that goes on in the spiritual world? The difference is the quality of devotion and absorption and surrender. So today, I'm running out of time here, but today is Hera Panchami. Who knows what Hera Panchami is from the kids? So it's a festival that after Jagannath Rath Yatra, when Lord Jagannath goes to Gundicha, after 3 or 4 days, the Lakshmi Devi from the Jagannath temple, which is called Nilachala, she's wondering, why is my husband, he said he would be back the next day. Why is he gone for so long? And there's a festival where the Lakshmi deity comes out and is carried on a palanquin, and she goes to see what's taking her husband Jagannath so long. So I'll read some verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Hera Panchami, and then we can have discussion for a little bit because it's already 8:27. So this is from the Madhya Lila, chapter 14, text 106. Knowing that the Hera Panchami festival was drawing near, King Prataparudra attentively talked with Kashi Mishra. Tomorrow will be the function of Hera Panchami, or Lakshmi Vijay. Hold this festival in a way that it has never been held before. King Prataparudra said, hold this festival in such a gorgeous way that upon seeing it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be completely pleased and astonished. Take as many printed cloths, small bells, umbrellas, and chamras as there are in my storehouse and in the deity's storehouse. Collect all kinds of small and large flags and ringing bells. Then decorate the chariot and have various musical and dancing parties accompany it. In this way, decorate the carrier attractively. You should also double the quantity of prasadam. Make so much that it will even surpass the Rath Yatra festival. Anybody been to Rath Yatra in Puri? We should go on a yatra as a Kalachanji community. Arrange the festival in such a way that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may freely go with all his devotees to visit the deity without difficulty. In the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his personal associates with him to see Lord Jagannath at Sundarachala. Sundarachala is a name for the Gundicha temple. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal devotees returned to Nilachala with great eagerness to see the Hera Panchami festival. Kashi Mishra received Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great respect, and taking the Lord and his associates in a very nice place, he had them seated. After taking his seat, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to hear about a particular mellow of devotional service. Therefore, mildly smiling, he began to question Swarup Damodar. Although Lord Jagannath enjoys his pastimes at Dwarka Dham and naturally manifests sublime liberality there, still once a year he becomes unlimitedly eager to see Vrindavan. Pointing out the neighboring gardens, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "All these gardens exactly resemble Vrindavan. Therefore, Lord Jagannath is very eager to see them again." Externally, he gives the excuse that he wants to participate in the Rath Yatra festival, but actually he wants to leave Jagannath Puri to go to Sundarachala, the Gundicha temple, a replica of Vrindavan. The Lord enjoys his pastimes day and night in various flower gardens there, but why does he not take Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, with him? Swarup Damodar replied, "My dear Lord, please hear the reason for this. Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, cannot be admitted to the pastimes of Vrindavan. In the pastimes of Vrindavan, the only assistants are the gopis. But for the gopis, no one can attract the mind of Krishna." The Lord said, using the car festival as an excuse, Krishna goes there with Subhadra and Baladev. All the pastimes with the gopis that take place in those gardens are very confidential ecstasies of Lord Krishna. No one knows them. Since there is no fault at all in Krishna's pastimes, why does the goddess of fortune become angry? Swarup Damodar replied, "It is the nature of a girl afflicted by love to become immediately angry upon finding any neglect on the part of her lover." While Swarup Damodar and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were talking, the procession of the goddess of fortune came by. She was riding upon a golden palanquin carried by 4 men and bedecked with a variety of jewels. The palanquin was also surrounded by people carrying umbrellas, chamravis, and flags, and it was preceded by musicians and dancing girls. The maidservants were carrying water pitchers, chamravis, and boxes for betel nuts. There were hundreds of maidservants, all attractively dressed and wearing valuable necklaces. In an angry mood, the goddess of fortune arrived at the main gate of the temple accompanied by many members of her family, all of whom exhibited uncommon opulence. When the procession arrived, the maidservants of the goddess of fortune began to arrest all the principal servants of Lord Jagannath. The maidservants bound the servants of Jagannath, handcuffed them, and made them fall down at the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune. Indeed, they were arrested just like thieves who have all their riches taken away. When the servants fell down before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, they almost fell unconscious. They were chastised and made the butt of jokes and loose language. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates saw such impudence exhibited by the maidservants of the goddess of fortune, they covered their faces with their hands and began to smile. So then it continues but I'll go to another section that goes specifically to this pastime. Just a little more here. So it is not possible to describe the unlimited pastimes of Sri Krishna, even though he himself describes them in his incarnation of Sahasra Vadana, the 1,000-mouthed Seshanaga. We'll just read about 30 verses here. At this time, Srivas Thakur smiled and told Swarup Damodar, My dear sir, please hear, just see how opulent my goddess of fortune is. As far as Vrindavan's opulence is concerned, it consists of a few flowers and twigs, some minerals from the hills, a few peacock feathers, and the plant known as gunja. When Jagannath decided to see Vrindavan, he went there, and upon hearing this, the goddess of fortune experienced restlessness and jealousy. She wondered, why did Lord Jagannath give up so much opulence and go to Vrindavan? To make him a laughing stock, the goddess of fortune made arrangements for much decoration. Then the maidservants of the goddess of fortune said to the servants of Lord Jagannath, why did your Lord Jagannath abandon the great opulence of the goddess of fortune, and for the sake of a few leaves, fruits, and flowers, go see the flower garden of Srimati Radharani? Your master is so expert at everything, but why does he do such things? Now bring your master before the goddess of fortune. In this way, all the maidservants of the goddess of fortune arrested the servants of Jagannath, bound them around the waist, and brought them before the goddess of fortune. When all the maidservants brought Lord Jagannath's servants before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, the Lord's servants were fined and forced to submit. All the maidservants began to beat the Rath car with sticks, and they treated the servants of Lord Jagannath almost like thieves. Finally, all of Lord Jagannath's servants submitted to the goddess of fortune with folded hands, assuring her that they would bring Lord Jagannath before her the very next day. Being thus pacified, the goddess of fortune returned to her apartment. Just see, my goddess of fortune is opulent beyond all description. Srivas Thakur continued to address Swarup Damodar. Your gopis are engaged in boiling milk and churning it into yogurt, but my mistress, the goddess of fortune, sits on a throne made of jewels and gems. Srivas Thakur, who was enjoying the mood of Narada Muni, thus made jokes. Hearing him, all the personal servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to smile. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told Srivas Thakur, my dear Srivas, your nature is exactly like that of Narada Muni. The Supreme Personality of Godhead's opulence is having a direct influence upon you. Swarup Damodar is a pure devotee of Vrindavan. He does not even know what opulence is, for he is simply absorbed in pure devotional service. Swarup Damodar then retorted, my dear Srivas, please hear me with attention. You have forgotten the transcendental opulence of Vrindavan. The natural opulence of Vrindavan is just like an ocean. The opulence of Dwarka and Vaikuntha is not even to be compared to a drop. Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full of all opulences, and his complete opulences are exhibited only in Vrindavan Dham. Vrindavan Dham is made of transcendental touchstone. Its entire surface is the source of all valuable jewels, and the Chintamani stone is used to decorate the lotus feet of the maidservants of Vrindavan. Vrindavan is a natural forest of desire trees and creepers, and the inhabitants do not want anything but the fruits and flowers of those desire trees. In Vrindavan there are cows that fulfill all desires, kamadhenus, and their number is unlimited. They graze upon forest to forest and deliver only milk. The people want nothing else. In Vrindavan, the natural speech of the people sounds like music, and their natural motion resembles a dance. The water in Vrindavan is nectar, and the Brahmajyoti effulgence, which is full of transcendental bliss, is directly perceived there in its form. The gopis there are also goddesses of fortune, and they surpass the goddess of fortune who abides in Vaikuntha. In Vrindavan, Lord Krishna is always playing his transcendental flute, which is his dear companion. The damsels of Vrindavan, the gopis, are superior goddesses of fortune. The enjoyer in Vrindavan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. The trees there are all wish-fulfilling trees, and the land is made of transcendental touchstone. The water is all nectar, the talking is singing, the walking is dancing, and the constant companion of Krishna is his flute. The effulgence of transcendental bliss is experienced everywhere. Therefore, Vrindavan Dham is the only relishable abode. That's of Brahma Samhita, verse 556. The anklets on the damsels of Brajbhumi are made of Chintamani stone. The trees are wish-fulfilling trees, and they produce flowers with which the gopis decorate themselves. There are also wish-fulfilling cows, kamadhenus, which deliver unlimited quantities of milk. These cows constitute the wealth of Vrindavan. Thus Vrindavan's opulence is blissfully exhibited. Srivas Thakur then began to dance in ecstatic love. He vibrated sounds by slapping his armpits with the palms of his hands, and he laughed very loudly. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these discussions about the pure transcendental mellow of Srimati Radharani. Absorbed in transcendental ecstasy, the Lord began to dance. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in ecstatic love and Swarup Damodar was singing, the Lord said, "Go on singing, go on singing." The Lord then extended his own ears. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love was awakened by hearing the songs of Vrindavan. In this way, he inundated Purushottam Jagannath Puri with love of Godhead. Braja Rasa Gita Suni Prema Utalila Purushottam Grama Prabhu Prema Bashaila. Finally, the goddess of fortune returned to her apartment in due course of time. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing, afternoon arrived. Hari Om Tat Sat. So, yeah, like I was saying, that the whole spiritual reality is not to be experienced by empiric knowledge or by material senses, but it's revealed by Krishna's mercy, and specifically by Krishna's, the main form of Krishna's mercy is Krishna's pure devotees. So just Prabhupada's translating Chaitanya Charitamrita is revealing the spiritual potencies of the spiritual world of the Lord and his devotees. Any thoughts and reflections?
Since Srimati Radharani, everything she does is to please Krishna. Am I right about that?
Yes.
So why does she get angry with Krishna sometimes? Is that nobody likes to be angered at? Target of our anger.
Yeah, that's sometimes it's the spiritual emotions when we try to, let's say, compare them with material emotions, it's not appropriate. Although they're the reality. Sometimes they say that the material world is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So right here we're talking about the love between the Lord and his devotees, which is the highest thing in the spiritual world, but in the material world sometimes it's pervertedly reflected. So it's similar, but it can't be compared. So when we know that from the pure devotee's words that Radharani's only existence is to give pleasure to Krishna, then we should take it for granted that when whatever she does, even if there's like so many different varieties of her emotional expression of how to please Krishna, that enhances Krishna's pleasure. So even anger, just like when sometimes you hear about the devastating mood of separation of the gopis or the Brijbasis, right? When Krishna left Vrindavan, they were almost dead in separation. But then we hear from the acharyas that this mood was the highest ecstasy, that Krishna only left to give them this special experience. So similarly, that we can take it from the lips of the pure devotees that whatever pure devotees do, and specifically whatever Radharani does, enhances the bliss and pleasure of the Lord. Mataji?
I'm speaking on behalf of Nainanvita. Prabhuji's question, Nainanvita wants to say that she heard in Nitai Sevini Mataji's class that Radharani gets upset because to give that rasa and enact those pastimes for Krishna. That's her answer.